Have you ever wondered how a man who never kicked a football, never coached a team, and never scored a single goal, became one of the biggest stars of the 2026 FIFA World Cup? Every World Cup creates new heroes. Some become heroes because they score unforgettable goals. Others because they make impossible saves. But every once in a while, a hero emerges from somewhere nobody expects. This is the story of a man who stood completely still, yet somehow captured the attention of millions across the globe. His name is Michel Kuka Mboladinga, but to football fans around the world, he is known simply as Lumumba Vea. If you watched DR Congo during the 2026 FIFA World Cup, chances are you noticed him long before you noticed some of the players. A man dressed in bright Congolese colors, vintage glasses resting on his face, his right arm raised toward the sky, his expression calm, his body completely motionless. For 90 minutes, he barely moved. While thousands of supporters jumped, screamed and celebrated around him, he remained like a statue. Television cameras couldn't ignore him. Photographers kept returning to him. Commentators began asking the same question. Who is this man? Why is he standing like that? And what does it all mean? Within days, his images were everywhere. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, news websites across Africa and Europe. Millions of people who had never heard of Michel Kuka Mboladinga suddenly wanted to know his story. But to understand why he became famous, we must travel back many years before the World Cup ever began. Michel Kuka Mboladinga was born on the 26th of September 1976, in what was then known as Zaire, today the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Like millions of Congolese children, football quickly became part of his life. The national team wasn't simply another football team. It represented hope, unity, and national pride. Growing up in a country that experienced decades of political instability and conflict, football often became the one thing capable of bringing millions of people together. Victories made people smile. Defeats brought shared heartbreak. But the passion never disappeared. Michel grew up believing that supporting your country was more than cheering from the stands. It was a responsibility. Years later, he began asking himself a question that would completely change his life. What can I do that no supporter has ever done before? He didn't want to become famous. He wanted to become unforgettable. Then inspiration came from one of the greatest figures in Congolese history, Patrice Lumumba, the first prime minister of an independent Congo, a man remembered for courage, patriotism, and sacrifice. To millions of Congolese people, Lumumba remains far more than a historical figure. He represents dignity, freedom, and the dream of a united nation. Michel decided that every time DR Congo played, he would carry Lumumba's memory with him, not through speeches, not through politics, but through football. He carefully created a unique appearance inspired by Lumumba's image. The glasses, the clothing, the posture, everything had meaning. Then he added one final detail that nobody expected. He would remain completely still throughout the match. No matter what happened, even if DR Congo scored, even if they conceded, even if the stadium exploded with emotion, he would not move. Many people laughed when they first saw him. Others thought he was simply performing for attention. But Michel ignored every criticism. He returned again, and again, and again, match after match, year after year. Slowly, people stopped laughing, and said they started watching. Little did they know that this unusual supporter was about to become one of the most recognizable faces in world football. And when the 2026 FIFA World Cup finally arrived, everything changed forever. For millions of football fans, the tournament was all about the biggest stars. Lionel Messi, Kylian Mbappe, Harry Kane, Vinicius Jr. But for the people of the Democratic Republic of Congo, there was another name everyone was talking about, Lumumba Vea. Ironically, his World Cup journey almost ended before it even began. As DR Congo prepared to make history on football's biggest stage, Michel Kuka Mboladinga faced an unexpected obstacle. Travel restrictions and health protocols delayed his arrival, meaning he could not be present for his country's opening World Cup match. For a man who had spent years following his national team through triumphs and disappointments, it was a heartbreaking moment. Thousands of supporters wondered, would the World Cup continue without the man who had become the spiritual face of Congolese football? Would the cameras ever capture his iconic pose inside a World Cup stadium? For a while, nobody knew the answer. Then came the news every Congolese supporter had been waiting for. Michel had finally received clearance to travel. The journey was long. The expectations were enormous. And as he entered the stadium for the first time, very few people realized what was about to happen. At first, only a handful of photographers noticed him. Then television cameras turned in his direction. Within minutes, broadcasters from around the world began showing the mysterious supporter standing perfectly still in the middle of thousands of cheering fans. The internet reacted instantly. People who had never watched a DR Congo match before suddenly wanted to know everything about the silent man wearing vintage glasses. Who was he? Why wasn't he celebrating? Why did he never seem to move? Across social media, millions of people shared his photographs. Some described him as the living statue. Others called him the most unique fan at the World Cup. But those who truly understood his story knew something deeper was happening. Michel wasn't trying to entertain anyone. He wasn't chasing fame. Every second he stood motionless was a tribute, a reminder that football could carry the memory of a nation. Every match became a ceremony. Every appearance became a message. And with every passing game, DR Congo continued to exceed expectations. The team fought with courage. They defended with discipline. They attacked with confidence. Each victory made the celebrations inside Congo even bigger. Families gathered around televisions. Children proudly wore the national colors. Communities celebrated together. For many people, this World Cup was about much more than football. It became a symbol of national unity. And somehow, the image that represented that unity was not only the players on the pitch. It was also the silent supporter in the stands. Even international journalists began telling his story. Newspapers, television stations, and football websites highlighted the extraordinary fan whose loyalty had inspired millions. While players earned headlines for scoring goals, Michel earned headlines simply by believing. His presence reminded the football world that supporters are not just spectators. They become part of history themselves. As DR Congo advanced further into the tournament, one question echoed across the football world. Could this incredible journey become the greatest chapter in Congolese football history? Or was an even bigger challenge waiting just around the corner? Nobody knew. But one thing had become clear. Lumumba Vea was no longer just supporting history. He was becoming part of it. History is usually written by the people who lift trophies, by the players who score winning goals, by the coaches who make brilliant tactical decisions. But every once in a while, history chooses someone completely unexpected. Not a captain, not a superstar, not even a footballer. Instead, chooses a fan. As DR Congo continued its unforgettable journey at the 2026 FIFA World Cup, something extraordinary was happening far beyond the football pitch. Children started copying Lumumba Vea's famous pose. Supporters began dressing like him. His pictures appeared across social media platforms, newspapers, television broadcasts, and football pages around the world. People who had never visited the Democratic Republic of Congo suddenly wanted to learn about its history. They wanted to know why this man stood so still, why he refused to celebrate, why he carried himself with such dignity. And once they discovered the answer, many saw him differently. They realized this was never about seeking attention. It was about remembering a nation. It was about honoring a man whose name still echoes through Congolese history. It was about proving that football can preserve memories that generations should never forget. Every time television cameras found Lumumba Vea in the crowd, millions of people watched. Without saying a single word, he was telling one of the most powerful stories of the tournament. Perhaps that is what makes football the world's greatest sport. 90 minutes on the pitch can inspire millions. But sometimes, one silent supporter can inspire even more. There will come a day when the goals from this World Cup are forgotten. The scorelines will disappear from people's memories. Even some champions will slowly fade into history. But there is a strong chance that football fans will still remember the man who stood completely still while the entire stadium moved around him. Because moments like that are rare. They cannot be trained. They cannot be bought. They happen naturally. And when they do, they become timeless. For Michel Kuka Mboladinga, becoming famous was never the dream. His dream was much simpler. To stand beside his country, to honor Patrice Lumumba, and to remind every Congolese supporter that football is more than a game. It is identity. It is pride. It is unity. It is hope. Today, people across the world know him as Lumumba Vea. But to many Congolese supporters, he represents something much bigger than football. He represents resilience. The belief that even after years of struggle, a nation can still stand proudly before the world. His story teaches us something that every football fan should remember. You do not need to score the winning goal to leave your mark on history. You do not need millions of followers to inspire the world. All it takes is believing in your country with every part of your heart. As the lights of the World Cup slowly fade and new tournaments begin, one image will continue to live forever. A man wearing the colors of his nation, standing silently, one arm raised toward the sky, watching his beloved DR Congo with unshakable faith. That image is no longer just a photograph. It has become a symbol of loyalty, a symbol of patriotism, and above all, a symbol that reminds us the beautiful game belongs not only to the players, but also to the people who never stop believing. This is the story of Michel Kuka Mboladinga, the man the world came to know as Lumumba Vea, and perhaps the greatest football supporter of his generation. The name Lumumba Vea has earned a permanent place in football history, not because he played the game, but because he showed the world what true passion, loyalty, and patriotism look like. Stay tuned to Docnation TV for more inspiring World Cup stories, breaking football news, and exclusive coverage from the biggest football tournament on Earth.